everybody. Welcome to NC Family's weekly update, ending the week, May 10th, 2024. I'm Sharon Sullivan, and I'm here with Jerry Royal, and we'd like to welcome you and say happy Friday. We are back down at the General Assembly these days, Jerry. The short session started. We haven't gotten off to a particularly fast start, but there were some kind of interesting things that have happened, and we want to keep everyone up to date on that. The first would be what's going on with the Opportunity Scholarships Program. We told you about that a lot last year. We were big supporters of that. That, of course, is the program that allows children and their parents to choose a private school that would be, and the government would help fund them. North Carolina government would help fund that. They found this year that they were so popular with this program that we are about 55,000 applicants on a waiting list. And the Senate this week in North Carolina took some steps to try to help that. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. Well, as we've mentioned, and I know we've given you all a lot of these numbers in the last 2 weeks probably, about the fact that currently about 32,000 recipients. Then they had, on top of the ones who are coming back, over 70,000 new additional applicants. Mm-hmm. And as you say, Sharon, out of those 70,000, over 50,000 are on a wait list. And so the Senate took quick action to pass legislation that would bring additional funding for that. The House now has the bill, but did not move on it this week. We were expecting some activity.
Right.
So what we may be doing is communicating with y'all. Again, we appreciate your working together with us. A lot of times what helps is for them to hear, we would want this to move, because you think about over 50,000 families and children who are waiting to make a decision about next school year. It involves their lives. It involves the schools that may need to hire additional teachers.
Right.
So we're hopeful and prayerful that the House will move on it, but we may need to work together with you all to encourage them in moving in that direction.
Yes, we appreciate everything you do to help us move these things across the finish line, and we definitely want the families that need this help and would like the help to be able to receive it in time for the school year to start. Right. So in other news, there was another interesting bill that was brought to the floor and passed. It was brought by Speaker Tim Moore, called the SHALOM Act. Can you fill us in a little bit about that?
Right, it was. And as you say, Sharon, there hadn't been a lot of activity at the legislature, so there's a lot of attention when they do bring up bills. But this was a primary bill that was brought up in the House this week, with the Speaker, as you say, being the primary sponsor and spokesperson on it. And the bill, which I'll read, it's hopefully helpful just to kind of understand the substance of the bill. After it passed, the Speaker put out a note saying, considering the recent rise of violence and hate speech toward Jewish individuals across the country, it is imperative that we recognize antisemitism when we see it. I'm proud to sponsor the SHALOM Act, which provides a working definition for antisemitism, and I am encouraged by the bipartisan support the bill received today in the House, and that was earlier in the week. It was 105 to 4. And this is an example. A lot of times we all hear about bills where there's a lot of controversy, it's a close vote. A large percentage of the votes are sometimes unanimous, and this one was obviously close to that.
Right.
There was controversy around it. Some people felt like this was going to be limiting free speech. They make it clear in the language of the bill that's not the intent. What they're trying to do, and they say it in the title of the bill, it says an act standing up to hate and leading with our moral principles. It's an effort to help educate people about what anti-Semitism is. And I know we could go on with a discussion on this, because there's been a lot around the country because of the demonstrations and things, what is lawful, what's not, as far as speech, as far as demonstrations, permits, what level the language is when it's pointing to violence or things. All that to say, the Speaker of the House recognized as a state, because we've actually, of course, had demonstrations here within North Carolina to help provide information to people about what, not to limit free speech, but to point out when wrongful speech is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's important to know, too, this does not come with any criminal ramifications or anything. It's strictly just a definition that we can use across the state.
Right. And that's where, again, you look at the purpose of our government. It's to encourage good and to restrain evil. And so when you see things that are going on that involve what sadly has led to some definitely unlawful activity,
Right.
it's good that the government can be there to help define what is lawful, what is not. And this, again, as you say, this didn't create new crimes. It's just helping to define anti-Semitism, which sadly we're seeing at a very troubling level. So hopefully this is part of how God is going to open people's hearts and minds to see a good bit of what's been going on is wrongful behavior. So, yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that, because there were some people that came down to the General Assembly and thought, what is going on with this? And it's very helpful for people to understand that, so thanks. As Jerry mentioned, we probably will be sending some things out, asking for your help, particularly with the Opportunity Scholarships, and we just thank you so much for all that you have done and that you continue to do to support us. And mostly, I would say the same every week, we appreciate and value your prayers for us the very, very most. Thank you very much. And anything else you want to add, Jerry?
No, that's, again, the longer we're involved there, with more we see what is number one, most important, is God working in people's hearts and minds.
Absolutely.
Working in yours and ours, and encourage legislators, elected officials as they're making decisions, and praying that God will work in their lives as well. So again, we cannot thank you enough for working together with us. Lord bless you.
Yep, thank you. Have a great weekend.